we're only a few days away from the 2017 Oscars, and we just have a few Best Picture nominees left to go. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's been great. I've only been here for like 2 of them.
Well, we're glad to have you here.
Thank
so
you.
today we're going to be talking about Moonlight, which we just saw this morning. One word to describe it.
Struggle.
I'll say journey. Okay, so this is a real coming of age story, which like we've seen over and over and over again. We just saw a couple years ago Oscar buzz around Boyhood. But this is different, right? If you guys haven't seen it, which I haven't, whatever. They used the same actors and just shot it over like a million years. This, they're covering a long period of time, but they're using different actors for most of the characters.
Right.
But we'll get to that in a little bit. So in Moonlight, we have this young boy named Sharon. He's growing up in this really
rough neighborhood.
A rough neighborhood in Miami. I think it's the 80s
right.
when this starts, but it takes us all the way through his early adulthood. And he's also really struggling to find his identity here. There's a lot of drugs in the area. His own mother is a drug addict.
But did she start out as a drug addict?
I'm not totally sure when she started exactly. She's
Maybe.
holding a job.
Right, she's got a job. That's
Yeah.
the bottom line.
But as the film progresses, she has her own journey too, which is really interesting.
She struggles a lot.
Sharon's father isn't really in the picture either, so he's really struggling to find people that he can talk to. It's hard enough to grow up, right? But to grow up with nobody to talk to, that really sucks. So this story is told in 3 parts. I think each part had pretty much equal screen time here, yeah. So we've got him starting out as a young boy, then we see him in high school, and then finally early adulthood. These weren't just like random parts thrown together.
No.
Each part here shows a formative event or time during Sharon's life. As I mentioned earlier, each part has a different actor playing Sharon, and you would think that it would make it really choppy, but it really did seem like the same person growing up.
Very cohesive.
Very fluid, which is impressive. And the title for each section of the film is based on Sharon's identity at the time. So it starts off with him as Little. So in this first act, Sharon ends up befriending a drug dealer named Juan. Turns out, this is his mother's drug dealer.
Yeah.
That's
Awkward.
really crazy and messed up. But this drug dealer is played by Mahershala Ali. And oh my
Beautifully.
god! We just saw Mahershala Ali in Hidden Figures, which he was great in as well, but he really shines in Moonlight. He was nominated this year for Best Supporting Actor for this film, and it is so deserved, and I hope that he's the one walking away with that trophy on Oscar night, because it was just like, oh, it was so good!
He played the hell out of that part.
He did. So Juan is not exactly your typical drug dealer. I mean, we have all these ideas of what a drug dealer is like. I'm not glorifying drug dealers, but he's definitely not what you would expect.
Well, he's like Michael Kors would say on the show. He's a hooker with a heart of gold.
There you go. He's a drug dealer with a heart of gold. Juan and his girlfriend, Teresa, who's played by Janelle Monáe. Again, we saw her in Hidden Figures. So good.
Little reunion there.
Yeah, Hidden Figures reunion!
Yeah.
They kind of become a secondary set of parents for Sharon.
As dysfunctional.
Yeah, it's
that
kind of
may
like a
be.
dysfunctional little family they've got going on.
I like it.
So they're feeding him, he's staying over their house.
Teaching him manners.
Teaching him how to swim, which was like one of the most beautiful scenes. I loved it.
I loved it.
They also had a beautiful scene around the dinner table when Sharon was asking them about this word that somebody called him. I don't want to give it away.
Yeah.
But that was such a powerful scene. Look out for that if you haven't seen it yet. Wow.
They handled it really
Tears.
well.
It was beautiful. We can see that Sharon is really feeling comfortable with these two. They're really the only people that he feels like he can talk to other than his friend Kevin. So in this first act of the film, Sharon is only a little kid, but there's already questions being brought up about his sexuality, and it's like all these other people are talking about it, and like...
Don't you find it strange, though, how in real life also you seem to know things about people before they know things about themselves?
Yeah. So, I mean, they're talking about this kid. He, like, doesn't even know what sexuality is.
No.
What? So he's just like, why are people calling me these names? Like, why are people picking on me? So it's really tough for him. And his own mother is treating him like crap. That one scene, oh my god, it's so vivid and it just sticks with you when she's like screaming at him and we can't hear it.
Right.
But we see it and she's got those vivid colors around her.
You just know.
Yeah.
It's not good.
But it was such a striking image. But because we're talking about the mother right now, Naomi Harris.
Woo! Girl, that was an amazing performance.
Incredible. She's also nominated for Best Supporting Actress. I don't think she's gonna beat out Viola. I feel like Viola's got it wrapped up. But this was so amazing to watch. She was the only actress in all 3 acts.
Yeah.
And she pulled off that progression flawlessly.
She was so real, so amazing. She just embodied that character, the transformation throughout the 3 different vignettes.
Because like we said, she was a drug addict too. So to see that play out.
Right. In the beginning, she had her job. Then in the middle, she started going downhill, and then
we don't want to say what happens at the end. All right, so Act 2 is entitled Sharon.
Why do you think they called it Sharon?
I think it definitely has to do with how he sees himself and how he's progressed.
Well, I think it's probably also because that's when he finally starts discovering himself.
Right. He's taking ownership for who he is, and he's standing up for himself a little bit more. You can definitely see there's a lot of like teenage in this act.
A lot of angst.
Yeah.
And a lot of bullying.
Aggression.
Yeah.
He's still facing a lot of bullying, even more now that he's in high school.
Well, it's gotten worse because, I mean...
He's struggling with his sexuality.
Yeah.
He's also dealing with the death of somebody really influential and important in his life. I don't want to say who it is, but it was interesting how it was kind of like glazed over there. Like, they didn't make it a big thing, and I don't know how I feel about that. I think I kind of like the way they handled it.
I like the way they handled it because I think it would have taken away from him if they hadn't done it like that. And he is definitely the focal point of the entire film, but especially this part when he's finally discovering himself.
Yeah.
He's breaking free.
True. So with all the bullying now, it's become a lot more violent, right? It's not just like little kids chasing him around. I mean, it's brutal. There are punches being thrown.
They're playing the knockout game, which is very, very deadly.
Yeah. So now it's a question of like, should I fight back? Should I be violent? Is that going to make me more of a man? So it really questions like, what is masculinity? Like, do you have to be violent and like punching people to be considered masculine? Or is it like a tender person? You know? So in this act, he's got this huge breakthrough. And it was a really touching scene, beautifully shot. There's like all this symbolism. There's a lot of water in this movie in important parts of his life. There's a lot of water going on here with like crying and the ocean and the waves coming in. But then he's got this huge breakthrough, and then a couple minutes later, it's like, literally, it sucks. It's so heartbreaking. The end of Act 2 is just like, what? Yeah. It's shocking. It's painful to watch. It's wild. So then Act 3 is called Black. And I don't want to talk too much about Act 3 because I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
But he's an adult now.
Right.
And he does end up reuniting with somebody from his past. And you can really see how he himself has changed, and also that character and how they interact now. So it's really interesting. I don't want to get into it too much because I don't want to give away everything, but
I think the most satisfying thing is his changing perspective in all 3 acts of himself.
Right.
And what he's comfortable with, and how he feels about himself, how he feels about other people.
I think that's what makes this film so universal, and it feels so personal. Because like, I don't find myself relating to this character in a lot of ways. Like,
well, we don't have those experiences.
We're freaking white girls, right? Like in the Northeast, we're not a poor black gay man in Miami. Yeah. But I feel like we can relate to this film because he still goes through a lot of struggles that all kids go through, and all people as they try to figure out like, who am I?
I feel like my eyes have been opened.
Oh yeah?
And yes. I feel like I'm better able to have empathy for anyone.
I think that's another thing that this film shows too, is like just the littlest ounce of empathy can affect someone so much. I mean, we really see the effect that certain relationships can have on somebody's life and the way that other people treat you, and then reflect that on like how you treat other people. We've kind of been talking about this throughout the whole video. Identity.
Yes.
Is it something that somebody else assigns to you, or is it something that you put out into the universe from within?
I think it's both. If you allow people to put an identity on you, then you're becoming that identity. But if you fight back and show people who you really are, they have no choice but to accept who you are because you're so strong in projecting that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's something that we see in this movie too, because you kind of wonder, like, is he going to accept what these other people are putting onto him?
Right.
Or is he going to go ahead and be like, no, this is who I am?
Right.
I think a lot of the success of this film is due to Barry Jenkins' amazing directing. He also wrote the screenplay for this, which was based on a play by Terrell McCraney. I think that this is the second Best Picture nominee to be based on a play this year.
Right.
The other one is Fences. And I just want to compare the two really quickly for a second. Because I think that this film breathes a lot more than Fences. No pun intended, but Fences felt really like
Fenced in.
I think that this film made the transition to the screen
Beautifully.
better
You
than
never
Fences
would have
did.
suspected that this had started out as play.
Again, thanks to Barry Jenkins, because he used some really interesting shots that made this have such an authentic feel. We got a lot of really good close-ups on people's faces, and that really allowed the actors to tell the story, not just with the dialogue, but with their expressions, with their eyes. We got so much out of the eyes. I think the music also really helped here. There was a wide variety of genres included in this film. I mean, we were hearing like Aretha Franklin one second, then we were hearing rap. We heard Mozart.
Right.
So it was a lot of really eccentric choices, but they all seemed to fit the scenes perfectly.
They did.
Nothing in this film was out of place.
What do you think the message of the film was?
I think it shows the importance of empathy and for reaching out to people, because that can have such a huge effect on someone's life, and you never know what other people are going through.
I think a lot of the message of the film was that it gets better.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Where some things that happen to you when you're a child seem like the end of the world. And then when you're an adult, you have different priorities, different perspectives.
Okay. So overall, this film is up for 8 Oscars
Wow.
this year.
Well deserved.
Yeah, I think so.
Beautiful film.
We loved it. We would highly recommend it to anybody because, like we said, it is a universal message. But now we want to know, what did you guys think? Did you see the movie? Did you like it?
Did you feel like the message that you took away from it was the same that we concluded?
Yeah, what did you guys get out of it? Let us know in the comments. And until next time, much love.